Welcome to the College Week Live Spring Open House. Today we will be preparing you to apply to the University of California, Davis, the 9th ranked public university in the country. My name is Dr. Timo Rico, the Director of Recruitment and Marketing.
And my name is Mitsuko Leonard, and I direct all out-of-state recruitment and evaluation. So today, just a little bit about the presentation overview, kind of give you an idea of what we're going to cover today. We're going to tell you a little bit about our campus, and then of course we're going to talk about the admission requirements, what we actually look for when we read your application. The whole process overview will be talked about. Definitely we'll want to touch on the important dates, and then how you can learn more and how to get started. Timo?
Well, the University of California, Davis was established in 1905 under three pillars: public service, teaching, and research. As you can see from your display, we are world-renowned and recognized in a variety of different areas, including agricultural, veterinary medicine, and entomology, food science, and nutrition. Although a health profession school, there's a variety of resources to support students during their undergraduate studies. Please know we are top 50 researching universities in the country.
And can I just chime in here real quickly? What's important to know about rankings and things like that is not so much just the numbers, but what the story is behind those rankings, right? You're going to be taught by faculty who are on the cutting edge of all the research that they do. And so when they're coming in to teach you in their classrooms, it's not stuff that's 20 to 30 years old, it's stuff that they're doing in their labs just 20 minutes ago.
Great points, Mitsuko.
So a little bit about where we're located. Sometimes students think California equals beach all the time. In our case, that's not going to be. We're about an hour and a half away from the closest beach, which is in San Francisco. Very, very close to Sacramento, our state capital, and wonderful skiing and snowboarding, hiking, camping in Lake Tahoe, and of course, Yosemite is not very far away either.
Now, in respect to our academics, our university is broken up into four colleges: the Colleges of Agriculture and Environmental Science, the College of Biological Sciences, the College of Engineering, and the College of Letters and Science. What's unique about our programs is that all majors are interdisciplinary. In other words, you acquire knowledge within all four colleges to ensure that you graduate in a timely manner. For those students who are still unclear or indecisive of their declared major, this type of program allows students to explore their options regardless of profession within the first 2 years of their undergraduate education. With over 99 majors to explore and 100 minors, students have a high capacity of graduating with 2 undergraduate degrees within a 4-year period. And with 94 graduate programs in 6 professional schools, students are definitely dive in to the professional programs, both in the doctoral and the graduate programs.
So, as Timo has mentioned, we do have a breadth of opportunities. You're going to be working with the world-class faculty, but you're also encouraged as an undergraduate student to do research. We are a large public research university, and research is part of the backbone of what we do here. And as an undergraduate student, you would be encouraged to work alongside your faculty members to not just do the research, but get published along with your faculty. We have offices dedicated to internships, finding you jobs afterwards at the Internship and Career Center. Study abroad is very, very important to our students here at UC Davis. We've got the strongest study abroad programs within the University of California system. And of course, students, when we're looking for excellent students to be admitted, we're looking for leaders. And we continue to foster that leadership with programs here on our campus. And of course, we want to be global leaders as well, so cultural competency is definitely encouraged.
You'll find that the array of resources here at the university is to engage both the academic and the social life of students towards what Mitsuko has shared, developing the leadership attributes to have global impact in all areas and professions affiliated with the university. What you'll learn is from the university, there's a variety of different resources that the student can engage in, from genome research to the arts, to engaging at the Bodega Bay Marine and lab research. The variety of different resources are to continue to sustain our role as a world influencer on sustainability and agriculture. Please note that there's also a variety of different resources that are part of the applied learning for students, such as the Washington, D.C. Center, where students engage in federal legislation and policy development, as well as the macro levels of atomic research, such as the Nanotechnology Center.
And just to, kind of talk about, to piggyback on that idea, we do have very successful outcomes for our students. Most of them that come in as freshmen will graduate within about 4 years, usually about 4 years and 1 quarter. Basically, the idea is that we want students to progress towards the degree. We want them to do well. Top employers do come to recruit here. Your success becomes our success. And so when employers come, they know that they're getting an excellent student that has a lot of practical knowledge and hands-on experience that's offered here at Davis. We are among the top 25 state universities based on alumni earning potential. And earning potential also incorporates the idea of how much debt you may graduate with. And about half of our students will graduate with no debt at all. We do the best we can to support our students financially with financial aid and scholarships and all of those things we'll definitely talk about later as well. And of course, networking. Networking is going to be important in your professional life, and it starts here at UC Davis. We have an active alumni network that is over 200,000 people strong. What that means is you've got a network of alumni who would be willing to meet with you, talk with you, whether it be an informational meeting or setting you up to get to know other people who can help you along in your research, in your career, in your further studies.
Now, as a college town, meaning that over 51% of our students are undergraduate, graduate, or professional students, our campus has a variety of resources to engage the student life. With over 500 clubs and organizations in every aspect that you could think of, there's always something for students to engage in. NCAA Division I allows students to engage their Aggie spirit and integrate their lifestyles within the sports professions. The Student Community Center is also a resource there to continue to support the students' academic development, a center in which resources are made available, such as computers, advisors, and cultural programs to help develop their competencies. Lastly, our cultural programs and performing arts are integrated within all aspects of the campus to ensure that students have a full understanding of what the world has to offer.
And I really want to emphasize what Timo had mentioned earlier about the idea that our community, the town of Davis, is over 50% the students, the university. Our town is actually quite small. There's only about 65,000 people in the town of Davis, and that means basically that within the UC system, we are the only campus that is really a college town. If you were to lift the campus of UC Davis up and out of the town, basically the town wouldn't exist anymore because everyone around here has some type of connection to the campus. We work for the campus, we study here, we research here, or we may have even opened small businesses or even larger businesses after graduating from UC Davis. So it's a very small feel, and yet because of the large population of the campus, there's so many opportunities for all 33,000 of our students. And I feel very, very comfortable here, and I think you will as well.
Just so you could get a sense of the campus community, 19,000 students play in over 25 intramural sports here on campus. So it just gives you a perspective of the livelihood of our student body here on campus.
Very active. So I think one of the most interesting things for students is the idea of living off away from home and moving into a residence hall. Freshman students are guaranteed 2 years of housing on campus, and for transfers we guarantee 1 year. And that may be a contract off campus, but it's still through the university. Lots of opportunities to really live and learn on our campus.
And if you are a big food fanatic as myself, UC Davis was ranked number 18 in the nation out of 2,000 colleges of best colleges for food, according to the Daily Meals. Phenomenal food, especially as a sustainable campus. There's a variety of different options such as gluten-free, vegan, vegetarian, and all-you-can-eat buffets. So enjoy.
Excellent. Okay, so let's start talking a little bit more about the details of admission, and that's why you're here. So just dive into it. Timo, you want this one?
Perfect. All candidates who are applying to the University of California must meet three key objectives. The first objective is what we refer to the subject requirement. In California, these are known as the A through G, in which each letter represents a subject matter that the student needs to complete by the time that they enter the university. A, social sciences, 2 years. B, English, 4 years. C, mathematics, begin with algebra, geometry, and algebra 2 in that sequence. D, laboratory science in 2 of the 3 disciplines, biology, chemistry, or physics. F, visual and performing arts. And then G, college preparatory electives. It is critical that students begin the A through G course patterns as early as 8th grade and complete the majority, 11 of the 15, no later than the application period or the summer prior to their junior year. In addition, students also must meet the scholarship requirement. The scholarship requirement just means the students must take the ACT with writing or the SAT exam no later than December of the fall semester of their senior year, or the point in which they submit their application. These 2 pieces are critical for students when applying to the university. The last component as part of that requirement is all candidates must have a minimum GPA of a 3.0 that is calculated based on the A through G courses that have been completed the summer after 9th grade and the summer prior to the 11th grade year. Although this information seems complex, we invite you to visit our admissions website where you could get specific information about these requirements.
Okay, so this is where I kind of diverge a little bit. So remember, my job is to recruit and evaluate students that are coming from outside of the state of California. So that means from New York, from India, from China, that's me. Now, with these A through G requirements, this is very much a California-centric idea. So for those students who are coming from outside of California, as much as possible, you do want to meet these requirements. So for example, let's take history. Maybe you don't have American history, U.S. history at your school in India. Well, as long as you're taking history of that region, Indian history, history of Asia, so on and so forth, you're going to meet these requirements. We're very, very flexible. Another thing to point out is the B requirement is listed as English, and really that is the language of instruction. So let's say, for example, you go to school in mainland China and everything's taught to you in Mandarin. You're taking math in Mandarin, you're taking history in Mandarin, everything is in Mandarin except for the extra language that you're taking, which is probably English. What that means is basically the B requirement is being met with all of the Mandarin, the Chinese that you're taking, and then the E requirement, the language other than the language of instruction, would be met with your English. It's a little bit complex, just switch it out. However, which way you list it on the application, please do list the grades as they appear on your transcript. We have a very, very well-trained specialist staff that's familiar with international curriculum. We also have a staff that has been visiting all over the states, and we're familiar with a lot of the different types of educational systems out there. So even if the grading scale is 1 to 6 and you think we've got no idea, write the grades down just as they appear on your transcript. If there's any question, we will always stop and contact you. Otherwise, if we see something that we're not expecting, maybe you did a conversion yourself, that's also going to make us stop and have to contact you, which kind of slows us down, and we don't want to do that. Another thing to keep in mind is with this scholarship idea of the GPA being a 3.0 if you're from California or 3.4 if you're non-resident or outside of the state of California, that is the very bare minimum. You're always, always, always going to want to aim much higher than that. That just basically means that, yes, we will look at your application, but you have to remember that you're competing with amazing, talented students. And so to aim for the minimum is not necessarily the best approach if you're looking to be admitted.
Great points.
Okay, so this is more targeted to California. Timo, is it okay if I ask you to talk about this slide?
Sure, definitely. For California residents, in other words, if you're enrolled at a California public school, there's 2 pathways in which you apply to the university, what is known as the statewide pathway. Students in general who apply to the university are selected as the top 9% of those applicants who apply for that fall term. The best advantage for students is to compete at the local level, what is referred to as a local pathway, or ELC. It was formerly known as the eligibility of the local context. What that does is students who are graduating from your high school compete amongst each other. Those who are identified in the top 9% of your graduating high school class from your respective high schools are provided a spot within one of the UC campuses. Please note that students must meet additional criteria, such as 11-unit course requirements that they must complete by their senior year, and that guarantee is not to a respective campus. Students will be identified in one of the campuses where they will be potentially admitted. So you are provided, in general terms, a spot within the UC system, a world-renowned system, but it may not necessarily be at the Davis campus. We encourage students that to communicate with their high school counselors who are familiar with the ELC process in order for them to identify you or provide you with additional information. For students in the current class of 2015 who will be graduating in the upcoming year, that information will be delivered to schools in September of 2014.
Okay, so what we're looking for. Clearly, the academics are going to be important. It's what I would normally call like the foundation of an application. We're looking for your GPA for those A through G courses. When you apply, it'll be during your 12th year, your final year. So we won't have the marks that you earn, the grades that you earn during that year quite yet, but we will calculate the GPA using your 10th year and your 11th year. 9th year is kind of a freebie. That doesn't mean we want to see bad grades. It just means we're not going to be using those grades for your GPA. We will definitely be using those courses for meeting the A through G. Of course, the number of A through G courses, your exam scores, honors, AP, IB, that all gives you a little bit of a boost. We're looking for, an upward trend in your grades. Maybe you start out a little bit rocky, but you're on your way back up. And of course, anything that you're doing at your high school to prepare yourself for academic competition, what we would call academic prep programs. That means not just signing up, but showing up and being a participant for a good length of time, showing that you are not just dipping in and out of these programs. And then, of course, there's non-academic factors. These are the things that kind of we are hoping to be able to take and create a more three-dimensional you. The academics are very much numbers, A through G, GPA. It's very easy to count. When we look at the non-academic factors, we're looking for things like leadership, talents and skills, how you persevere through difficult situations, and of course, how you successfully manage through whether it be the difficult situations, disabilities, whatever the case may be. We are looking to find out how we can imagine you balancing your academic life with your personal life, even if you were to be admitted to UC Davis.
Keep in mind that it is the student's responsibility to provide us with a vivid image of their academics and leadership attributes. Those that Mexico has identified are key suggestions that we encourage you to take advantage of. With that said, there's additional helpful hints that we will be providing you towards your freshman application. Students should complete more than the minimum A through G requirements. Please note that those indicators of completing more than the minimum is notation that you will be successful in the first year of undergraduate education. That is fundamental for many of our students during the selection process. All exams must be completed by December 31st, and these exams we're referring to the ACT with writing and the SAT with reasoning. All IB and AP exams should be completed before graduation. Please complete any activities and awards, and when doubt, go ahead and list it. Let us make assessment of that information and indicate all elements that are integrated within the application. And list and describe your leadership role, including the attributes and the type of impact that you've had during that process. And integrate any academic preparation programs with clear specificity as to how those programs have benefited you in exploring both careers, professions, and challenged you to academic rigor. Lastly, consider an alternative major. Many students will, during the application process, void to complete the second major or an alternative major. And in some instances, if we are not able to meet enrollment projections, we do consider the alternative major as an alternative option to assist students during the application process. Lastly, senioritis, avoid it. Senior year is critical. Although if you are awarded admissions, it's on a probationary basis that you provide evidence that both that all your academic coursework during your senior year has been successfully completed.
Very good point about senioritis. Okay, so we just admitted our 2014 class. Perhaps some of you out there have been part of that admitted class. Maybe some of you are just thinking about the future. It's kind of weird. You can't really see all of the gold behind there. Our admit rate is competitive. We were able to admit about 40%, almost 41% of the students who applied. We definitely had an increase, and basically in the end we're hoping to be able to enroll about 5,100 students. You notice there that middle 50%, that basically means of all the students who are admitted, if we were to just take the middle 50%, that middle chunk, the GPA ranges between a 3.95 and a 4.24. Now, some of you out there may wonder, how do you get anything above a 4.0? That's where the AP and the IB and those honors points really boost up that GPA.
Can you explain what IB is?
IB is International Baccalaureate, and if you don't know, that's because you're not in the IB program, and that's totally fine. AP is Advanced Placement, and again, if you don't know, don't worry about it. You're not in that program. It's not going to have an impact on you. The GPA is capped at 4.5, so that's the highest a student can get when we're looking at the application. Remember, this is the middle 50%, so don't get scared off with the idea that if you don't find yourself in this middle 50%, then you would not be admitted. You have to remember that 25% that were admitted had lower scores and lower GPAs, but it does give you an idea of how competitive, how selective we are. Anything you want to add, Timo?
Nope, perfectly well said. What I do want to highlight, though, is that you'll find that the undergraduate experience here at the Davis campus integrates a variety of different constituents, Californians, people throughout the country, and throughout the world. It is key to point out that our campus is extremely critical to ensure that students have a worldwide privilege to study with other students. You'll note that approximately 3/4 of those students originate from California, the 8th economic powerhouse with a very diverse population. And you'll also find that our growth of our campus has been allowing additional students to take advantage of what resources are available here at the campus.
Okay, so right now, as we speak, we are in the middle of evaluating transfer admission. It is a different process, and we'll go a little bit into it right now. Shall I just keep going, Timo?
Sure.
Okay, so general requirements, again, these are the minimums, right? We're not aiming for minimums, though, are we? We're always aiming for much higher than the minimum. But just to have a conversation, the minimum GPA to transfer into UC Davis is a 2.4. We want our students to come in at the junior level. That means we want you to have 2 years' worth of transferable work. Now, although the 2.4 is a minimum, we really don't select at 2.4. It's really going to be much more advantageous for you to aim at least, imagine a 2.8 as the minimum. To be a junior level student, you need to have 60 semester units of transferable work, or 90 quarter units if you're attending De Anza or Foothill, for example. We're looking for the 7-course pattern as it's listed here. We want 2 English composition courses, 1 UC level transferable math, so think like statistics, pre-calculus, and so on, and then 4 courses from at least 2 out of 3 subject areas. All those details you can find on assist.org.
Now, we do want to point out, though, that although these are the minimum requirements, there are specific majors on campus that are selective. In other words, that require additional coursework to be completed or additional conditions that must be met. Please note that the College of Engineering has all their majors to be selective. The College of Agricultural and Environmental Science, we have biotechnology, viticulture and enology, and within the College of Letters and Science, communications, design, international relations, and psychology. I invite you to visit again our admissions.ucdavis.edu, where you'll find additional information about how you can meet the requirements for these selective majors. You may also contact your California Community College representative who have this information readily available.
So I mentioned just a second ago the assist.org. This is a very valuable website, but please know, just as Timo has said, you should not try to go through this process of transfer completely alone. You want to utilize the resources available, whether it be a UC Davis representative that may be visiting the community college in your area, or the counselors, the advisors that you have at the community college whose job it is to help you with the transfer process. Assist is a nice place to go and start to explore, start to understand what majors are available, what kind of courses you can take, what GPAs you need to aim for, what else you can do while you're at the community college so you're using your time very wisely. However, again, I cannot stress enough that you should not endeavor this path completely alone. You want to utilize those resources that you have on your campus, whether it be a UC Davis representative or the advisors that are there in the counseling center at the community college. Assist will talk about what's transferable. It'll talk about what's articulated, in other words, what's equivalent here at UC Davis. It'll also talk about, what courses you can use to meet the IGETC. What does IGETC stand for?
Intersegmental General Education for Transfer Curriculum.
What a show off. It's a great way to kind of get an idea, but while you're mapping things together, you still need a guide.
Planning begins immediately, so begin that process. There's a few tools that are available for students who are seriously considering the transfer pathway. One of those is known as the Transfer Admissions Planner. That tool allows students as early as their senior year to begin to explore what options they have through the California community colleges and begin planning their curriculum for the upcoming 2 years. Please note that this is a tool to assist you in virtual advising so you can know what courses are available for respective majors. This tool will eventually assist you in completing what we refer to as the UC tag, or Transfer Admissions Guarantee. The Transfer Admissions Guarantee is an alternative option that students can be guaranteed a place at the University of California, Davis. There are specific guidelines and requirements that the student must complete in order for them to transition into a tag. All candidates must complete a tag and submit a UC application in order for them to be awarded admissions to the Davis campus. However, students do not need to complete a tag in order for them to apply. Students can independently apply as a transfer student with a general admissions requirement.
And I'd like to just stress that these are programs available to students coming from out of the state as well as students coming from out of the country. The key point is that you must attend a California community college if you want to take advantage of both the planner and the guarantee. For those of you who are interested in transferring from, let's say, a community college or another university, but is not a community college, it does get a little bit more complicated because you don't have a website that tells you exactly what's going to transfer. You may end up taking 2 years worth of courses, and if they're not all transferable, you're going to be shy of that 60 semester unit requirement. And so I cannot highly recommend this enough. Community colleges here in California are amazing, and our faculty know it, and that's how we end up with the assist.org, that's how we end up with the admission guarantees. So some helpful hints. Definitely want to prepare for your major. You don't want to take a lot of art history if your goal is environmental science or engineering, right? You want to know what your major is. It's okay to explore, especially during that first year, but if you end up in a more selective major, all those majors that Timo had mentioned, like engineering, biological sciences, psychology, communication, and so on, those are going to be much more restrictive in the sense that you have to have that planned out well in advance. That doesn't mean if you take your time, if you can take your time, you can definitely meet all those requirements and transfer in 2 or 3 years. But if you are very keen on transferring in 2 years, then you should know right from the start what you're trying to accomplish as a major. You want to meet all of the transfer admission requirements, especially, again, with the selective majors. If you're missing 1 or 2 courses, we may not be able to admit you. Definitely list an alternate major, because if we're not able to consider you for that first one, we may be able to consider for the second. all of the selection requirements need to be met by the end of spring term for that same year applying for. So let's say you want to apply for fall 15. You will apply this fall, 2014 is when you submit your application. All of those requirements need to be met by the end of spring term 2015. So the 2 English classes, that math, the 4 additional courses, anything that you need for your selective major, you need to aim to have that done by the end of spring term. Summer is a buffer, right? It's a just in case, it's a bonus, but you cannot use that summer 2015 term to meet requirements. Again, aim for at least a 2.8. If you're going for that tag, the guarantee, you're going to want to aim higher. You want to apply broadly, just like when you're applying to anything, whether it be a job or a university, you're not going to apply to just one, apply to several.
Please note that the tag and the TAP are tools to assist you with that planning, and as Mitsuko mentioned, planning is key in our process. The good news about the transfer pathway is that you'll note that the admissions rate is at a higher rate than the freshman class. Many students who take advantage of that opportunity. Our admissions rate is at 16.4% this past fall of 2013, and information for fall of 2014 is not readily available since we have not selected our class for fall of 2014. However, I encourage you to explore the transfer pathway, as you can see that some of the metrics are to the student's advantage. Note that the transfer admitted GPA range at the first and the third qual trial for these students is at 3.25 to 3.74.
Okay, so this is a big deal. The application for admission is also an application for scholarships. So don't forget, there's a section there where you're able to list, I think, up to 16 different criteria that you would like to have considered for scholarship opportunities.
We do want to identify, though, that the application and the scholarship are 2 independent processes. Scholarship for financial purposes is independent of our admissions process. That is facilitated both by our financial aid office. So please note that the scholarship piece does not impact your admissions. It's your academics and all the other elements that we've identified before that slide.
Very good point.
One area that we also want to identify is when the application will be available. Please note that the first bullet is a typo. The application this upcoming year will be available August 1st for all candidates throughout the world. Students may formally submit an applications to the University of California, Davis beginning November 1st. August, September, and October are periods for students to begin collecting the information and completing the application. Please note, procrastinators, start early. The application is very complex, and it's a way for you to portray your profile, your academics, and your excellence to our readers at our campus. Each campus that you apply requires a $70 fee, and for those students applying outside of the country, it's an $80 per campus. This is also, again, an opportunity for you to apply to a variety of scholarships. My words of recommendations to all candidates is to select as many, if not all, scholarships that they think they may be eligible, and then let the campuses respectively assess whether you meet that criteria. No letters of recommendations or transcripts are required at the point of submitting your application. Now, for additional tips of personal statements and whatnot, we encourage you to visit the admissions.ucdavis.edu/apply, where you will find key resources and samples for you to assist you during that process. However, the application process is located at the University of California.edu/apply. Generally speaking, visit the UC Davis website, and we will direct you to all those resources to assist you during that process.
So, one of the questions that I oftentimes get is, well, if you don't require letters of recommendation, then how will you possibly know how awesome I am? We know how awesome you are by reading your personal statements. This is your opportunity to talk to us. Consider it, kind of like an interview on paper. It is a little bit difficult. It's tricky, absolutely. But this is your opportunity for being able to speak for yourself. Letters of recommendation are pretty predictable. They're going to be recommending you. We want to hear from you why you think that studying with us is what you want to do. We want to know what type of world you come from, what type of experiences you have. It helps us envision what type of student you are and what you might be able to accomplish while you're here on our campus. Now, the third prompt is optional. It's additional information. So if there's something that maybe you wanted to touch on that you weren't able to fit into other areas, absolutely take advantage of that. A tip that I give to students typically is basically to try to focus on the experiences of the last, 3 or 4 years. We do want to know about who you are, and while a lot of experiences that you may have had in elementary school or even middle school may continue to impact you, we want to know about the things that are impacting you more currently. We want to know about the things that are happening to you now. It just kind of gives us a better idea of who you are. And if you focus a little bit too much on other people or experiences that happened many years ago, it doesn't give us a clear picture of who you are right now. And again, I kind of mentioned it, do focus on yourself. If we read a personal statement and walk away knowing more about your grandmother, your auntie, your uncle, your cousins, and not enough about you, well, then that is a bit of a missed opportunity. We want to know about you. That doesn't mean you can't talk about all of those people that do impact you in your world, but we want to walk away having a better picture of who you are and how they may have influenced you. Otherwise, we'll want to admit your auntie rather than admit you.
The prompts as mentioned by Mitsuko can be found at the admissions.ucdavis.edu website. Please review those and begin planning to write those as soon as possible. Don't wait until the last minute. And accuracy is critical. What do we mean by that? Well, spelling, grammar, although it's not a factor that will penalize your application, it does disrupt the message that will be sent to your reader. So please have editors, other candidates to review your personal statements to ensure that your message is vividly portrayed. Contact all UC campuses if there's a change in your coursework that is submitted on your application. Check your email frequently and respond as soon as possible, as you would have, like in the Davis campus, real people who will contact you to let you know if there's a situation or additional information that needs to be addressed. And don't hesitate to ask questions. We encourage you as an academic scholar to continue to ask those questions, whether it's in the realms of academics, student life, or your application. Visit our website and continue to get additional information, and you will find the personalized experience is available at the Davis campus.
And with this idea of accuracy, I think because everything is self-reported, because we don't ask for transcripts, we really do rely on you to look at your transcripts and basically transcribe everything onto the application. Now, what that means is if you earned a B, please list it as a B. If you earned a C, it should be reflected as a C. Don't change that grade because in your mind you're thinking, well, it's an honors class, so I'm just going to give it a boost. Let us do that. We'll take care of that on our end. We'll take real good care of those grades and make sure that repeats are accounted for, that honors points are accounted for. All of that will be taken care of on this end. If you're admitted and we then ask for transcripts to finalize your admission and it turns out your grades don't quite match up to the application, that could get really awkward. Every summer we do end up having to cancel students for not reflecting their grades accurately, so please do pay attention to that. Also with your emails, right now is the time where we're dealing with a lot of students who contact us and say, I didn't respond because your email ended up in my junk mail. Check your junk mail regularly. Please check your junk mail. Please check your email. We're trying to reach out to you, and sometimes if we're not able to get in touch with you, we have to just move on, and we don't want another missed opportunity.
Very good tip. Our extension on our email is at ucdavis.edu. You may want to create a filter to help you direct those to your inbox. Now, important dates, as we mentioned earlier, you may begin your application on August 1st. So after all the pool parties, hanging out with your friends, as you enter your senior year, begin your application immediately. For the students who decide to begin their application late into the year, please note that resources are limited and it may be difficult to get a hold of a UC representative. So please engage in that process early on. Applications can be submitted between November 1st through November 30th, midnight Pacific time in California. After your application has been submitted, continue to monitor the information that is sent through our office. Information will include additional criteria or information that we may need or other events that you may want to take advantage that would educate you about the options here at the university. You'll also notice that priority deadline for students who um, to complete the transfer priority is provided in January, so all students who had been admitted under the tags will be informed beforehand. All students who are encouraged, regardless of household income, to complete the free application for student aid, a federal application for students in the U.S., in order for them to be eligible for both federal, state, and local funding streams. Freshman notifications are done in mid-March, and all students must submit a student's intent to register no later than May 1st. Please note that transfer candidates who are admitted, we inform them in mid-April. Those students who are admitted as a transfer pathway must submit their statement intent to register no later than June 1st.
Okay, there's lots more that we don't have the time to cover. So a few websites here. We do encourage you to come visit our campus in person. We would love to host you here, take you on a tour. But if you're not able to, at least do take the virtual tour. It's a lot of fun. I think it's pretty cool.
And it's in 3 languages, English, Mandarin, and Spanish. So invite your family members so they can engage through the experience.
Okay. Definitely set up a profile on our website where you'll get information from us as well as emails, kind of letting you know what's going on our campus that might be of interest to you.
Nice. And for those into social media, stay in touch. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. So you could get a feel what the campus has to offer, not only from the admissions office, our faculty, but also our students.
Okay, so we've got some questions here. Timo, how about I read it out for you? I'm a sophomore in high school. Can I visit the campus?
Our campus is open 24 hours, 7 days out of the week. However, for campus tours, those are available between the hours of 9 a.m. through 2 p.m. Pacific time. We encourage you, when you visit the campus, regardless of what age level, we have elementary school students, middle school, high school, and prospective doctoral students visiting our campus, that you drop in at the Welcome Center. The Welcome Center is the nucleus of our campus, where you will find a variety of different resources that you can engage while while visiting the campus.
So there was a question here about applying to more than one major. Now, I assume that means applying to maybe being enrolled into 2 majors at the same time. That is actually not possible. You are able to apply into one major, and you can list an alternate major so that if, for example, we're not able to consider you for that first major, we will consider you for the second one. I encourage you to select 2 majors that are not completely related. So, for example, if you list an engineering major as your first one, please don't list engineering as the second one, because, it's a very competitive area. You want to kind of diversify your options and think outside of that. Along the same lines, you can definitely double major once you're here. You can change your major after the first quarter. We do encourage students to explore. So that means, in your first quarter, your first year even, you're going to be taking a lot of foundation courses that are going to be applicable to many other majors. Generally what happens is you take a class that you love, you take another class that's similar to that, and you just adore it, and then it turns out that maybe your passions were not in your original major, and perhaps you need to consider changing. Totally fine. Everybody does it. I think about, the trend is like an average of 2 times changing your major. Did you ever change your major?
3 to 4. 4 times in my first
4
year.
times. Wow. I changed my major twice as well. You'll survive it. It's not a problem. Minoring, that happens all the time. Students get involved in something that they really enjoy. Maybe they don't want to dedicate themselves to a full double major, so they will minor in it. Some students will minor in 2 or 3 different areas. So we really do encourage students to explore and learn as much as they can from here.
I do want to highlight, though, that you could identify a variety of different majors based on the professions you want to go into. It's not, you basically explore professional programs and then see what majors will lead you to that profession that you're exploring.
Okay, so here's a question about scholarships. To apply for scholarships, when does the student need to submit the application and ACT score? December 30th of the fall term?
So that is correct. For students who are applying to the University of California, Davis, and wish to engage in the scholarship piece of the application, they must submit all test scores no later than December 30th, well actually 31st of the fall semester of their senior year. However, we will still encourage you to apply to other scholarships that may not be affiliated with the UC Davis campus. Explore those that are maybe at your local community, our financial aid website, or other resources that may be that do not have the criteria of you having those test scores. Please note, though, that many scholarships in our campus, although they are merit-based, there are other options that you can explore, such as need-based. FAFSA is one of those options.
Okay, here's a question about the most popular majors at UC Davis, and a follow-up question about a nursing program. Okay, so the most popular, now, while many students are very interested in knowing what our most popular majors are, let me just temper that with the idea that that just means somebody else is really interested in it. And it really should have no bearing on what you are interested in. With that said, let's see if I can name the top 5. It's biological sciences, managerial economics, biotechnology, international relations, and I think economics. I think those are the 5. But again, it really should not have any impact on what you decide is most interesting to you. That just means that a lot of other people like those 5 majors, but we have 99 different majors for you to choose from, and really anything that you would like to study, you will be able to touch on it, and not just study, but to do research, to do internships, and really engage with the campus community in that area. So instead of worrying too much about what's popular or about rankings, as nice as those things are to brag about, you want to think about, what do we have at our university to offer you as a student?
Keep in mind that the application is the holistic, or the whole student as a whole. We can see the patterns that the student has an interest within the major with the extracurricular activities or other attributes that they engage in. So it should really be seamless when we review the application.
Okay, so do you have a nursing program? We do. We have quite a bit when it comes to health sciences. We have a medical program, we've got a veterinary program, we've got a nursing program. Now, what's important about just knowing that we have those programs is that we have a lot of support for all of those students who want to get into those programs, and that's called pre-professional health advising. It's an office dedicated to helping you understand the exams that you might need to take, the interview process that you might go through, the timing of everything, and how to make your resume very strong. In addition to those 3, we have a School of Education, a School of Law, and then the Graduate School of Business, Business Management. Right. So lots and lots of programs available. What's nice is, many of these faculty members that teach at the professional level are also teaching at the undergraduate level, so you have access to some brilliant minds.
I do also want to encourage you to learn about our campus. We have one of the biggest internship career centers that will help build your portfolio regardless of whether you're going to nursing or any of our other 99 majors. That has a monumental impact on your resume as an experienced professional who will be entering the working world. Please note that experience as an institution will not only provide you with the researching opportunities, but the ability to buff up your resume. You know what that means? More pay for your experience.
Very good point. Yep. So there's a last question I think we've got time for. Are there any merit scholarships available to out-of-state applicants? Now, out-of-state applicants means anyone from outside of the state of California. So let's break it down to the domestic student, right? The student who is a permanent resident or a citizen of the U.S. just doesn't happen to live here in California. Those students will have access to, definitely the FAFSA, right, so federal aid. And then, of course, scholarships are available as well, merit-based, as well as some need-based. So keep that in mind. Now, for the international students out there, international just means that you are on a visa. You require a document that says it's okay for you to stay here in the United States to study. If that's you, we do have some merit-based scholarships. Unfortunately, FAFSA is not available to you because that's federal money, and we don't have federal money for international students. We also do not have available any need-based scholarships, only merit-based scholarships. What I like to make sure that I warn students about is we do not have the type of scholarships that will cover, the bulk of your out-of-state tuition. That non-resident tuition can be quite hefty. I think it's just the tuition alone is about $37,000 per academic year, compared to, for California residents, is it about 13,000
per year?
Per year, 13,000. So as much as we do have scholarships, you're going to want to approach it as, well, this scholarship will perhaps help with books, maybe a new computer. It'll take a chunk out, but it's probably not going to cover the whole of your tuition or, your residence hall fees, or, getting back and forth from your home country. So things like that to consider. But we have, the education here is a great value. And it is something that you're going to want to discuss with your family, whether, you as a family can afford to invest in your education here at UC Davis.
Perfect.
All the time we have for questions, but there'll be people available to chat all afternoon.
Perfect. So thank you very much for attending this webinar session on applying to the University of California. We invite you to visit our website and continue to engage our representatives who are online available to answer any of your questions. Good luck in your application. We look forward to seeing you in fall 2015.
Thank you.